I am Graham McLean. I'm the head of developing mountain biking in Scotland. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Thomas Larsden Schmidt, the president of IMBA Europe. How are you today, Thomas?
Thank you, Graham. Doing good, doing good.
Great. This is a subject very close to my heart, given that the DMBNS and Scottish Cycling are one of the partners on the DIRTT project. But great to have somebody else tell the story of this, tell it from a European-wide perspective, and really share what I think is going to make a programme which I think is going to make a fundamental difference to mountain biking across Europe as well. So delighted to have you tell the story of the DIRTT project in more detail. And so over to yourself, Thomas.
Well, thank you very much, Graham, for this. You know, I would have loved to be in Scotland, but with the COVID-19 and all the restrictions, I think this is the best way to get across and meet each other and do the networking we can online. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor to be part of yet another Scottish mountain bike gathering. I've attended a few before and definitely will come back at a later date when things are getting better, I guess. As you said, my name is Thomas Larsden Schmidt. I am the president of IMBA Europe. I joined the IMBA Europe board in 2015 and became president of the board in 2017. I live in Denmark. I've been riding bikes my whole life, mountain bikes since, 25 years back. Been working with advocacy for more than 10 years. My everyday job here in Denmark, I work for the DGI. It's a Danish national sports organization where I work with access advocacy for sports, outdoor sports in nature. And I'm married, have 2 kids, growing up fast. Then I hope it gets give me more time for some riding and some outdoor recreation. I'm happy to present about the DIRTT project, also a project that's very close to my heart. And I hope I can do my best to get you all informed about what the DIRTT project is all about and how we are proceeding with the project in the partnership. I'll try to share my screen and show you a presentation. So yeah, click around here. Share screen. Okay, you can see my screen now, I hope.
Yeah, that's working good for me, Thomas. Yep.
That's great, Graham. So, let's see if I can get it to work here. Yes, oh, sorry, that was a bit fast. Got a little impatient there with the clicker button. No, I would like to introduce you to some serious DIRTT. DIRTT is short for Developing Inter-European Resources for Trail Building Training. So I think we will just get on with it and get started. So as an introduction to DIRTT, DIRTT project, Developing Inter-European Resources for Trail Building Training. It springs from the core of Europe's mountain bike enthusiasts, volunteers and professionals centered around European branch of the International Mountain Bicycling Association, IMBA Europe. So the interesting thing here is that we've been having these summits in IMBA Europe since 2014 and gathering enthusiasts and people with their hearts burning for this cause, access and mountain bike trails, and different kinds of riding for many years now, and gathering so many enthusiasts and professionals and volunteers always gives one of the best of places to start working together, to interact, to network and get some good relations across all of Europe. And through this, the summits, the great different speakers and the outbreak sessions and so on, but also, good talks over a beer later in the evening at these summits and gatherings has actually created a super strong network of people who want to make mountain biking and trails and sustainability something that we can all help grow and develop in the future. So this DIRTT project is one project that's grown out of the IMBA Europe Summit, and this is what we'll be going in further detail with today. So the aim, as it says here on the slide, is to develop an educational framework for professional training program to get people active in the trail building sector and getting the needs of the professionals and volunteers, getting them to know more about sustainable trails, about the planning, design, construction, maintenance, and management of the mountain bike trails. So that was a short introduction to DIRTT. So the project is about identifying and bridge skill gaps in the sector and address whatever lack of specific training in design, construction, maintenance, etc., that we meet during the project, and then develop that educational framework like a toolbox for educators so that they will be ready and available towards getting people up to speed on how to approach different trails for different purposes. So all kinds of trails are at stake here. We were talking about the basic stuff and the core knowledge about trail building being organized in a manner so that when people have been on this education, they'll be able to better manage, maintain, and develop trails that fits their purpose and their riding style, I guess. So, the background and the partnership of the project partners. Well, like I mentioned before, most of the project partners actually met over the years at the IMBA Europe Summits, doing talks or participating in breakout sessions or just having great conversations over a beer and a snack in the evening or in between sessions, and also great talks when we're out riding, social rides at the IMBA Europe Summits. And through this, some strong connections and some strong networks have grown. And at some point, some of the core participants of these summits sat together and said, okay, there's actually a gap here. There's something that's needed that doesn't exist. And how do we go about this? Are the different people here, the core group, are you willing to put in some effort and some time and some resources in trying to make this into an application for the EU and Erasmus Plus application? So this core group sat together and we worked on an application for an Erasmus Plus project, and through many ups and downs and difficulties and many discussions and even chipping in and traveling and meeting and getting the application work together, we finally made it happen and sent in an application in March 2019 with the project partners described on this slide here. So the project partners, if I can present them, are from different countries. We have partners from Switzerland, Portugal, Scotland, Netherlands, Denmark, and Norway. And the lead applicant and the lead partner of the partnership is Fagskolen Tinius Olsen. It's a college in Kongsberg, just outside of Oslo in Norway. And they work with different kinds of educations where you can be educated bachelor in a variety of educations. So they are managing and are head of the partnership. And then another partner is International Mountain Bike Association Europe. Their headquarters is in the Netherlands. It's an umbrella organization for national mountain bike organizations from different countries in Europe. We have more than 22 countries under the IMBA Europe umbrella. We also have associate membership for different organizations, and we have some different parts of the industry supporting International Mountain Bike Europe's work, and are happy for that. So, and a European umbrella for advocacy and trail associations, mountain bike associations across Europe. Then the Scottish Cyclists Union, by developing mountain biking in Scotland, is also a partner in the project, and thank you for that, Graham. I guess we can reveal now that you have been part of that core group developing the application and all. So it's been a pleasure working with you on getting to where we are.
Likewise.
Through your network, we were able to connect with Edinburgh Napier University, also from Scotland, who is part of the project. And I guess the university word explains a lot about their role in the project, but they're helping out with surveys and different other aspects of the project. We also partner with Bike Plan. It's a company, an organization in Switzerland that works with spatial planning for mountain biking and tourism in Switzerland. And then the DGI, where I work when I'm not volunteering as the president of IMBA Europe. My day job is I work in the DGI. It's a Danish sports organization. It's a pretty big one. We got all kinds of sports under that umbrella, and we're about 1.7 million members in Denmark out of 5.5 million inhabitants. But we also do a lot of work on sports and how to use sports and outdoor sports and trails to develop local communities and to get people more active. And being part of the DIRTT project gives the DGI a good opportunity to better itself and to get more knowledge about how to approach trail networks in local communities and how that can be used to get more people active on a greater scale, not just with mountain biking, but of course also with mountain biking. And then we have a municipality as a part of the project, as one of the project partners, the municipality of Águeda in Portugal. And this is a municipality that is based in what they call the Bike Valley, where a lot of different bike manufacturers are located, and different companies have production there in Portugal, and they're also working with both trails and all kinds of community cycling and so on in Águeda, and they are a natural partner in the project and can benefit the project with a good approach from a municipality angle. Finally, we have Oplysningskontoret for terræncykling in Norway. It's an organization in Norway that's been put together that wants to work with bettering trails to and a better recreational infrastructure in Norway by using mountain bike trails to make tourism and local communities better in Norway. And they've been working with that for some years now, and are also part of the core group and partner in this project. So this was a little bit about the background and the partnership where the project partners are in. So, and we have a small video that kind of exemplifies what kind of work, because it's not only meetings and summits and applications. There's a lot of knowledge from the different organizations working with these topics around how to educate, how to train trainers, and all this knowledge and all this experience is beautifully exemplified in this video I'm going to show you from Norway that is made before the DIRTT project. So it's an example of some of the background that some of the project partners come in with. This is a project that's being presented. That's a collaboration between the Norwegian partner, terræncykling in Norway, Oplysningskontoret for terræncykling, and also IMBA Europe and some more partners. But I'll see if I can make this work.
Nå er vi her på Nesbyen for Truck and Road sin andre stibyggeskole. Stibyggeskolen går over 2 dager, og på den første dagen er vi inne i klasserommet og lærer teorien bak stibygging. Og så andre dagen er vi ute i skogen og bygger sti.
The students in this year's school have been learning a lot of different skills. We've been learning how to move rocks, how to surface trail, how to design and align trails sustainably. We're trying to make trails that are going to last a long time, be fun to ride, but also be safe for a lot of different riders. Hopefully everybody has learned a lot of those techniques in this school, and they're going to take those back home to their local trails and start to improve them as well.
Det er veldig fint at vi har fått stibyggerskolen hit til Hallingdal for andre året nå. Det gjør at vi kan spre kunnskapen ut til veldig mange av de lokale syklistene som bygger stier her gjennom hele året, og som har bygd mye stier her tidligere også. Det handler jo om at stiene skal tåle at mange sykler på dem, og at vi kan få flere syklister til Hallingdal uten at stiene blir utslitt og ødelagt av det.
Move this material out, so once all of this ground is gone and sent downhill, we can create the back slope and the trail tread.
Går det her nå? Eller?
Ungene våre får kjempemasse bra.
Mange forskjellige teknikker en lærer, og en lærer seg hvordan en skal, hva skal jeg si, lære seg hele rytmen i stien, og hvordan en skal bygge det i forhold til drenering og vattnet, så du skal få ut av løypa og ikke følge langs løypa.
Så nå har vi holdt på i 2 dager og fått bygget masse sti. Folk er slitne og fornøyde, og det har vært veldig positivt.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see if I can find my way back into the presentation, but I thought it was a good example of some of the stuff that's already been worked with, and some of the knowledge and some of the ideas that goes into the partnership before we made the application and before we started the third project. The third project, like I mentioned a few times now, is an Erasmus Plus project, and in any presentation from an Erasmus Plus project, you have to have these different kind of logos and stuff on, and this is us living up to all the obligations attached to an European Union project. It's a KA2 Cooperation for Innovation and the Exchange of Good Practices project. So I'll just move on, but also you can see the different partners and the logos of the project on this slide as well. So, what is the need for a European approach to trail building, education and guidelines? Well, we have seen a lot of growth in mountain biking in many European countries. Not only on a grassroots level, like close to home, people riding from their houses and so on, but also on a more massive scale in touristy areas and in destinations. So we see a rise in the demand for great sustainable trails, both as a touristic offer and destination, in rural areas, in local communities. The demand is there all over the palette, and demand is there for all kinds of different trails. So what we see is a need not for uniform trails, but we see a demand for a very wide variety of trails. So it's not a form that is to be put down over trails, but it is a framework where trails can live and thrive and develop and become the exact tools that are needed locally, with the enthusiasm of the local volunteers, the local trail planners, and so on. But also the framework is going to be there to secure better cooperation, better planning, and again, I guess most of all, more sustainable approach to trails, so that they can last longer, so that they can support local businesses, so they can support local communities, they can support destinations, and do that with better user meetings, so you don't scare off other users of nature, and also better protection of plants and animals and the natural environment, and also with the sustainability and a financial sustainability that goes in and ensures that your volunteer workforce isn't being worn to bits because the trail keeps falling apart. So, you know, build it better, build it once, build it right, and you can have more resources freed up to do more fun stuff and to maybe even build even more trails to ride of your liking. So for that, there's a large group, a large number of trails in Europe that's being taken care of and developed through volunteer work. But we see also a need for more professional trail builders, either working with trail specific, delivering, you know, projects to municipalities, to destinations, or professional trail builders helping and delivering base products to volunteers and training them to be the caretakers and the future developers of these trails. So the professional aspect of the project is aimed at many different scenarios and many different levels of trail building and many different kinds of trails as well in Europe. So that is why we see a need for training, we see a need for guidance, trail planning, design, construction, and maintenance. And everything should be based on a quality ensured body of knowledge. So this is what we aim for, and this is what we're working for with this project. This is what we see the need for. And why now? Well, like I said before, it's a young, but it's a growing fast, a growing sector. There's more and more interest in trail-based recreation, tourism, sport, health. Trail preference is changing all the time. New trends, new trail management challenges is appearing all the time. And we also see that at this moment where all this demand is, there's not many training programs and there is no official education. So standards and classifications are needed to mitigate risk and liability for land managers, and also develop some more good practices and some context for the existing trails and existing trail development resources, quality management, control, sustainability for the whole sector. So more structured knowledge about how to build and how to explain and share the knowledge about how to build and so on. So these are kind of things that we are looking at, and this is why we believe that this is the correct and best time to go on with this project. With the beginning of the project, getting that started, I'm just looking at my notes here. We're looking into, within the project, we're starting to do surveys, we're doing scientific reports and getting more knowledge from the existing stakeholders across Europe to make sure that the stuff we know before we start the project is supplemented with more knowledge developed within the project. So this spring, we have done 2 reports based on 2 surveys. We've done a stakeholder report based on a stakeholder survey. And the conclusion from the stakeholder report is that there's a strong demand for certified training in the mountain bike trail building sector. And the sector is not currently, this demand is not currently met because there simply isn't any diploma that you, if you're an employer, you want to hire a trail builder, you can't ask him, well, what are your credentials? Because the education doesn't exist. So a lot of the good training and the good trail building companies across Europe have, as it is now, have to develop their own training and sort of teach people after they have employed them. And this is working good in many places. It's working less well in other places, but overall, this is where we see there is a need, and where we hear through the surveys that there is a big need. And also we see a wide range of training needs across all stages of trail building reported in the survey. Construction and maintenance topics highlighted at the highest priority for training. So the construction of the trail, and after the trail is finished, how do you maintain it, and how do you approach that? How do you plan around this, and how do you involve volunteers if that's what you need? Or how do you educate the persons that you, after the project is finished, is hiring to maintain the trail? Do they understand mountain biking? Do they understand the riders? How do we secure their communication, and so on? So this is part of the stuff that we got out of the stakeholder reports. Some of some of the knowledge that we got from that. So what we have from a former sector survey as well is that a lot of the employees in the trail building sector have difficulties with filling in vacancies. There's a low number of applicants with the required skill, and they lack the specific competencies needed for the job. There's a lack of appropriate training courses available, and staff is too busy to follow training during the trail building season. And 3 out of 4 employers strongly agree that new training courses are required to meet the training needs of their organizations and the training needs to get the best trails and the sustainable trails that we're aiming for. So this is some of the different answers we got, just as examples of some of the stuff that we're basing this work in the DIRTT project on. So do the trail building sector, do they believe that development and definition of the EU trail standard and trail classification in mountain biking will be valuable in terms of quality assurance? And as you can see from the chart, there's a lot of the sector that really believes that this would help the sector move forward. And also we asked the question in a former survey, how important is it for your organization to work towards certification levels for the different jobs and roles in the field of trail development and trail building? And again, we see that there's a lot of the sector that believes that this is super important. We also did, in the spring, a rider survey, not only to get,
Do you want to just hold a wee second? Let's go. There we go.
You hear me?
That's
I'm
great.
coming across good? Yeah, cool. So yeah, we also did a rider survey in the spring. So we don't we not only get the input from the trail building sector and the trail building professionals, municipality, forestry commissions, and so on. But also we would like to, in the project, to get a lot of data and information from the people actually riding the trails that we would like to develop, and so that we don't start to develop some sort of mold that doesn't fit the riders that we're actually trying to cater. So the main findings of the rider survey report is that most mountain bikers ride easier single track trails and some more difficult single track trails. And the connection to nature, descents, optional lines, surface quality is ranked consistently high among all trail types. So nature you pass through, the descent integrated into the trail, and the possibility for multiple lines and the qualities of the surface of the trail, some of the main points that the riders rank high. The survey also shows that the connectedness to nature is super important, and many mountain bikers are prone to and would like to protect nature, and many putting environmental concerns above trail quality in most areas. This is, though, not always reflected in the riders' actions or expectations. And we here see that there could be a need of more education and mitigation about what sustainable trails are and how they better fit in both in nature and nature protection, but also with, so you can get both nature and nature protection, but also a higher ride quality at the same time. The better the trail, the more fun the trail, the more likely it is to, guide and get the riders inspired to use that trail, and not all kind of other trails that are not sustainable or at the purpose of mountain biking. And also many riders recognize the importance of the volunteer trail maintenance, and even though some of them are not willing to or able to volunteer, but then the survey shows that then they would be willing to pay something for either parking or for trail maintenance, donate to local trail building groups, or different kinds of approaches. So the rider survey also shows a willingness to pay and to put money into having access to fun and sustainable trails, both locally and in tourism and so on. So we also worked with, we did in the spring, we prolonged the survey with a couple of weeks to make sure that we did an extra push to get more women and more different people to answer. And this succeeded. We surpassed the normal 90-10 division between men and women. And I think we're at 20 to 25% women answering the survey. So we get a more diverse and a better and more correct image of not only what the riders want, but what will be necessary in the future, because we see growth not only in mountain biking, but also we get more kids on bike, we get more women on bikes, and all this is super important to have that within the project to make sure that we're not building for the past, but we're building a project and framework that is suited for the future of trail building and fun riding in a diverse environment. So this is some of the stuff that came out of the rider survey. I'll just show you a few examples. This is one of the graphs we put in the rider survey. Why are people motivated to ride? And I thought this one was super interesting, that the main reason to go riding is connect to nature, to play and exercise. The challenge of the mountain biking is also a key factor, and also sometimes to get out of the house, to escape and be on your own. And we've also seen here in COVID-19 times that the escape and solitude has been one of the key factors of getting more people outside in a lot of areas in Europe where they have been able to do so. And I think for the future, many of these people that see mountain biking and the outdoors as a great way to unwind and get out of the hamster wheel of every day will continue to do so. So I think we can foresee that the COVID-19 situation, when it settles, will have produced more users, and it will have produced a greater need for more trails for all these new users. So this is some of the answers we got on why people are motivated to ride, and also what kind of riding do people who answered the survey actually do. And most people ride trail, and enduro and cross country and free ride downhill is also up there, but the trail sector is definitely growing, and this survey within the project shows the trail and enduro is moving up, sort of like and the cross country and free ride downhill is more staying where it has always been. So we see an increasing demand for trails that can cater trail riding and enduro riding. But I also like the fact that there's still someone that rides all disciplines, and some people don't care about all this distinction and just want to go ride their bikes. That is fine with me. I think it was Gary Fisher once said, anybody who rides a bike is a friend of mine. So to get into the grid of it, we are proposing to do with this project an educational framework. So education course for mountain bike trail planning, construction, and maintenance. We are designing it as a standalone course according to the specifications that we are developing in the coming syllabus. And the standalone course will also be, you can also integrate that into programs for construction and building, or other associated educations, and parts of it can be utilized in programs for resort development and tourism. And the course we are building will be awarded 30 ECTS points when successfully completed. What we hope and what we dream of and what we are confident we will achieve around the project outputs is that we want to make sure when we work with this DIRTT project that, since the European scene of mountain biking is very diverse, the surveys show us that there's a diverse need for different kinds of trails. There's a diverse group of riders. So, and that combined with the different countries all over Europe where the approach can be different, legislation can be different, local access rules can be different. The education we're building needs to be rather flexible. So we understand and work towards that the implementation of the training program can differ per country. In Norway, the lead partner of the DIRTT project, they will integrate the higher vocation education course in their existing program, and you will be able to go to Norway to Fagskolen Tinius Olsen and take this course, either as part of your complete education or as a standalone course. Other project partners are working on partnerships with VET providers in their own country, and as I understand it, developing mountain biking in Scotland, and Edinburgh Napier University are investigating how this could take form in Scotland. I just wanted to make a point of that, since this is the Scottish mountain bike gathering. And the project outputs will, of course, since it's an Erasmus Plus project, be available for others after the project ends, and that availability will be through IMBA Europe after project end. So this is some of the outputs that we see from the project. We're building an education. An education standalone course can be part of an education, or as we look at in Denmark, can be moduled into courses for local volunteers, for local trail builders and planners and so on. So it can be a flexible system that can fit into the national system and the local system and the regional system. And if somebody in Denmark who takes these courses would like to combine them all and then take the exam in Norway, I'm quite sure we can work that out too. So the ones who want to, move up from the courses approach will be able to take the education through collaboration between the project partners. So many different approaches will be available, but everything will be based on the good work within the project and the good information we got from the many thousands of participants in the writer survey, and also the very big response we got in the stakeholder survey as well. So it's really based on input from outside the project partners circle and not just yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and we have high hopes for the finished education. It's timescale for the project. It's a pretty short on the slide. I can elaborate a little bit. We started the project in 2019 with a planning meeting in Switzerland with our Swiss partners. So, yeah, like we normally say, it was a horrible meeting in Zermatt next to the Matterhorn, with riding from 3,000 meters above the ocean and then back to the village for beers and pizza. It was a really tough meeting, that one, the starting meeting. It was a very good meeting, and there was of course, like at the IMBA Europe Summits, made room for a little bit of riding after a hard day's work, and a good attitude towards having good conversations in the evening after planning and preparing the work in the project. And after the project planning meeting in Zermatt, we moved on and we worked mainly online for the rest of 2019 with development of surveys and the overall planning of the whole project. And then in 2020, in the first part of 2020 and the spring, we released the different surveys, the stakeholder survey and the writer surveys, and that data and input has been gathered in reports, and we've used that to work on with syllabus and educational framework, and that work will continue through 2020 and 2021. During 2021, we will also start testing some of the modules being built in the educational framework. And after the testing of some of the modules, we will rework the educational framework, rework the education, and then finish it off during 2022, the fall of 2022. So that's the timeline for the project. So we got a bit to go still. But we got off to a good start. Of course, there has been some difficulties with COVID-19. The international meetings have been hard. Supposed to have one in Portugal in April, which we did online instead. And then we were supposed to go to Scotland, and I'm afraid to say we had to do that online as well. This fall, and we're really bummed that we couldn't go to Portugal, and equally bummed that we couldn't go to Scotland. We're really looking forward to some great writing in a great drizzle next to people's. But everybody has to adapt right now as it is. But we're moving on and we're keeping schedule, and there's great enthusiasm within the project and within the project partners. Even some of the meetings have been made more difficult, and the online presence is wearing a bit on everybody, but I guess everybody can relate to that in these times. But But we're keeping schedule, we're keeping spirits up, and work looks good, and we're happy with it so far now that we're about halfway. How to keep updated on the project's progress or get more involved. So I guess after this presentation, everybody will be keen to learn more, and you'll be rushing for your phones and your emails and trying to write anybody who can tell you even more than I have about this super interesting project. So I would like to make sure that I just give you some headers and some guidance on how to get more information as soon as this presentation is over. So if your organization is based in one of the project countries, Norway, Denmark, Scotland, Netherlands, Switzerland, or Portugal, you can contact the national partner in the specific country, and they can help you with more knowledge and more in-depth knowledge about the project and your country's role within the project. If you're Scottish, you can contact Developing Mountain Biking in Scotland for more information. I'm sure Graham will take the thousands of emails that will be, just rushing in after this presentation. He will be ready. He promised me that. So if you're based in another EU country that's not at the moment partner in the country, but find this interesting, you should contact IMBA Europe. I will make sure that within the presentation and the PowerPoint that can be sent out to participants from this conference, the contact information for these organizations will be readily available, so you can get that. And also we are sharing regular project updates through social media and through the different partners, different lines of communication, but also we share it on the IMBA Europe website and through e-newsletters. So some information about how you can get to know more about the DIRTT project. What will happen after the DIRTT project? Well, when it comes to an end, we've promised each other within the partnership that we will stay within the network and help each other develop the project and the education further as it goes along. I think everybody in the project has a big interest in this not just being a 3-year EU-funded project, but we are actually dedicated to making this work also after the project money and the project period formally ends. So we will be revising and expanding after the project period. And this is important because the delivered framework will, of course, need some ongoing development. We will focus on the identified skill gaps in the sector and the development of appropriate training programs to bridge those gaps. But I don't think that everybody will be able to deliver all training courses and content all at once or as soon as the project is finished. This is like the first major step in a direction where we want to make conditions and framework and better for the development of better trails for more riders and for get more people engaged in sustainable trails that are fun to ride and can help out with a huge variety of different approaches to different trails. So this is what we're aiming at, and this was what we promised each other within the partnership, that we will continue after the project ends. So if we do our work right, we will have an education in 2022 that can help everybody from stoked kids to skilled volunteers to professional trail builders. This is what we aim for, and this is what we hope we will achieve. Thank you very much for listening. This is it for the presentation or the PowerPoint. Do you want to supplement with any questions or something like that, Graham?
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think that gives everybody a really sound background into the project and doing it, and it really brings everybody up to speed with where we're at. I mean, I know from my personal perspective as well, it's really great to be involved in a project with so much diverse knowledge across so many different countries, and bringing that together and sharing that is very helpful for us in Scotland to then take that out to Scottish partners, and also hope that we can bring in things into the European partners from our experience in Scotland, which can then help everybody. I think it's a really good way of us growing. Also, I do like the approach of this as a project as well, and that it's evidence-based at each of the stages as well. And I think that's a really strong thing from it. I guess just a quick question as well. I think from my perspective, one of the really strong things that's coming from this educational framework and in the construction module of that is that we are looking at breaking it down into kind of the techniques that are involved, and not being kind of fully focused just on that professional bit, but also breaking it down into different modules. Can you just expand a wee bit on that just now for people as well, just how what our thinking is at with that and where we're at with that?
Yes, as the different modules will be, like you said, divided into different skill sets that the person taking part in the courses or the education will need to learn and to reflect on, to be able to be better at whatever task they will be doing on trail construction or trail maintenance. But also looking very much into how to deliver information from, I think one of the good examples of this is that you have to learn how to deliver maintenance guidelines to, for instance, a volunteer group. So you're a professional trail builder, you win the job, you do the job, and then you finish and you pack up your stuff and you go home. In this project, we think, okay, this needs to be delivered to the trail caretaker. And if that caretaker is a volunteer group, then there will be these elements, these specific skills elements that we have shone a light on and developed within the project underneath in each individual module that comes into play in these situations, that as an example of one of these approaches.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess one of the concerns that we've had shared through our social media when we've done this is that there's definitely I think a perception around this that what this will do is it'll dumb down trails, it'll make trails all smooth, burned, with no character and without really taking into account local traditions. I mean, I guess that's a risk if you're putting in, starting to work towards standards of things, I guess, which is sort of where we're going to, might be more guidelines at the moment. But how do you think that we're managing that risk?
I think we're managing it pretty well, because we're very much aware about the myth and the tales about the dumbed down trail, and we understand this, and we're in the project. We're all riders, and we enjoy a good mountain bike ride, both on ancient historical trails or hiking trails or developed mountain bike trails, and we understand the big difference between a pump track and a flow trail, a purpose-built flow trail, and local trails that are fit for the community, and super hard local trails in the mountains of Norway or wherever. So that understanding helps us to make the framework exactly what it should be, a framework where within the framework there's a liberty and a freedom to address the trail needs that's appropriate for the local trail building group. So it's not a firm straitjacket just keeping people in place. It's actually tools around the specific trail building, helping them to make the trail better, more sustainable, and more better tool for community building and so on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think that's being aware of it, knowing it, and doing it, and building it into educational frameworks. I think is definitely something we're doing, and and I guess as well taking that evidence-based approach you see that in your presentation, when you looked at what type of rider are you, when we did the rider survey, that trail and enduro came through really strongly for that. I mean, I think there is a level of slightly who we talk to, as all of our partners in mountain bikers. We talk to a lot of experienced mountain bikers, because that's who follow us and who follow yourselves and things. And I think if you were to apply a survey to 2,000 beginners, the answer would be different to that. However, we know that core group really don't want to ride that smooth trail all the time. They probably do with their family and other people.
No.
So I think we know that, and we're building that in, aren't we?
But when you have that super fun local enduro trail for the hardcore integrated group, then I've seen it here in Denmark, and a few of them start getting kids, and the kids want to go on bikes, and they just can't start with that enduro trail. So that need for a diversity of trail in the local community develops as people's life situation develops. And that perspective, I can see it from my own, having ridden mountain bikes with my kids since they learned how to pedal, and now my oldest son is 18, and seeing the different kind of trails he was able to ride and enjoy during those 13, 14 years he has done of riding as a young man of 18 is amazing. And also you can see the need for specifically purpose-built trails that invite and include new users, so that when they get the bug, when they develop this fever of mountain biking, they can progress and move on to harder trails. But if you don't have any beginner trails, you don't have any purpose-built trails, then you're making it super hard to grow the community and to get the destinations to grow, and to get the local communities to grow, to get people to buy the sandwiches in the local stores and so on. So there's a lot of perspectives on this that could be part of how you reflect on what kind of trails you need, because often if you get a good mountain bike community going, you will need more types of trails, and this framework will help you develop exactly that.
Brilliant. That's tremendous. Thank you so much for your time today, Thomas. Inspiring as always, knowledgeable, articulate, and just about over time as usual as well. So you follow my example well. Thanks again. Thanks for having us. I hope you enjoy some of the sessions in the Scottish Mountain Bike Gathering as well, Thomas. And yeah, thank you so much.
It's been an honor to be able to speak at this Scottish Mountain Bike Gathering 2020, and I'll be looking forward to going to Scotland as soon as possible after the COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. Looking forward to riding over there as soon as possible. Thank you very much for having me, and enjoy the rest of the conference, all of you. I certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you.